Hey guys, it's Lil. Welcome back to my channel. So if I seem a little bit stressed or worried or anything, it's because today is Sunday and this video goes up on Monday. It is currently 2:30 p.m. and my video is supposed to go live at 8 tomorrow. So what I'm going to try to do is film this video as efficiently as humanly possible and not have to edit too much, and hopefully the end result is decent. So today's video is something I've been talking about for a while that I'm super excited to share because it's been a huge part of my life. I am sharing my acne story. Woohoo! So I've talked about my struggles with acne a little bit, but we are about to do a deep dive. With that being said, if you've seen me do things before, welcome back. If you'd like to see me do things on a regular basis, please go ahead and subscribe and also ring the bell so you don't miss out on any new videos. Let's get started. My experience with acne, like a lot of people, started out when I was a preteen, so probably about 12. I always had very oily skin pretty much from the onset of puberty. I very vividly remember getting one of my first big zits. I was at my dad's house, the one that I've talked about before, where I talked about my dad's house being haunted. So if you haven't seen that video, go watch it because it's super entertaining. But I vividly remember pacing around in the living room at my dad's house watching a movie on Disney Channel. I think it was the one with Hayden Panettiere, like Tiger Cruise or something. I forget what it was called, but if you know what I'm talking about, comment it below. I vividly remember walking around watching that movie, and there was a mirror in our living room, and I saw this big old red friend on my chin, and I just got this feeling of dread, like somehow I knew that that was just the beginning. And of course I was right. From the time I was 12 on, I started breaking out pretty regularly. It started off small, but then grew and grew and grew, and I tried to use all of those methods that people my age and a little bit older remember, like Noxzema pads that felt like you were just rubbing straight up Lysol wipes on your face, and the Clearasil gel and the Acne Free series, which I guess was kind of like a dupe for Proactive. I used all of those and nothing really seemed to work. It just continued on regardless. This went on into high school and just kept getting worse and worse. I was not comfortable going a day without makeup in high school. It had already gotten to that point where I was trying to just cover everything up. And so it was around then that I started seeing a dermatologist, and I started getting extractions, which if you've never gotten extractions, they are so painful. I started getting those and I tried doing facials and everything, but nothing really made it any better. I just kept breaking out. Wherever one zit healed, 3 more would pop up in its place. I was dealing with the Hydra of acne. So starting in high school, I tried different antibiotics, topical medications, different pills, things like that that were supposed to help calm the acne down. Nothing really worked all that well. There was one medication that I had to stop because it was giving me horrible headaches. I think it was doxycycline. I tried that and it just did nothing except make my head hurt. This continued on, of course, into college, because why should your acne go away when you're an adult? That'd be too easy. So it got really, really bad my first year of college, and then going into that summer, to the point where if I was staying over at a friend's dorm room or something, I'd keep my makeup on. I was that self-conscious about it. It was super painful, super embarrassing, because it almost made me feel like I was not caring for myself correctly, like my face was dirty and I wasn't washing it enough, which if you struggle with acne and someone tells you, oh, just wash your face. No, what? So the first summer I got back home from college, I started seeing a new dermatologist. She was about an hour away. I used to live in a suburb of LA, and this derm was in Santa Monica. I went in and she was awesome. She from the beginning was super sweet, super just kind and helpful. And the first day I went in was super painful because even just at that first consultation, she's like, okay, what we can do right now is a bunch of extractions. We can do some cortisone shots, which if you've never had a cortisone shot to the face, again, just super fun, happy times. But we did a bunch of those on my face all at once. At the end of it, I looked like I'd get stung by a million angry bees, and I had to go home like that. But that was kind of the beginning of something somewhat helping. I continued seeing this dermatologist. I started taking a medication called spironolactone, which is something that's often prescribed to girls and women who struggle with hormonal acne. I started taking that and it helped a little bit, but the thing that really helped when I was seeing that dermatologist was photodynamic therapy, abbreviated as PDT, which is also known as blue light therapy. So from my understanding of how it worked was I would have this gel put all over my face and then they'd sit me under a blue light for I think like 8 or so minutes. It was super powerful and it felt like it was just like burning my face off, but it was killing all the bacteria that was causing my acne, I guess. And then I would have to go hide away from the sun like a vampire for a week, because the thing about PDT is if you're not super careful about wearing a bunch of sunscreen and staying out of the sun for at least those first few days, you can get really badly burned. So if you are interested in PDT or anything like that, keep that in mind. There is a little bit of downtime. This was also a very, very expensive treatment. I got 3 sessions of it at $700 a session. So if you do not have a lot of money to spend on this, I would not recommend it because it's so expensive. And for me, the outcome wasn't permanent, but I'll get more into that in a little bit. But essentially I had to use a lot of my own college fund to pay for this, which was not fun. But anyway, it did actually work for a while. I can't remember how far apart the sessions were spaced, but by the end of it, I did see some major improvement. My acne was a lot calmer, my active pimples would subside faster, and on the whole, my skin just looked a lot better. So it did do quite a bit of good. But unfortunately, as with all things, it did not last. It did give me about 4 or 5 years of reduced acne, I guess I would say. It was much better than it used to be, but again, I was still breaking out pretty regularly. That would have been about 2012, and as you may know, in 2015, we moved to Hawaii. So for the first couple years, my skin was fine, everything. I got married. I did have a couple of zits on my wedding day, but you know, what can you do? But at the end of 2017, I was really in the natural products only phase of my life. I really bought into the idea that like, oh, there's certain things that are toxic and you shouldn't use them, which, anyway. I was using just like natural stuff and oils and stuff on my skin. And even though I was eating really healthy and working out, I started what was the worst breakout of my entire life. This began in about late November 2017, continued on through spring 2018. And when I say worst breakout of my life, I'm gonna include photos of it. So fair warning, no matter what I did, no matter what I tried, it kept getting worse, and I started to feel really, really hopeless about it, to the point where I was like crying myself to sleep at night. It was really, really awful. Nobody really talks about the mental side effects of acne as much as just what it looks like, but it can really, really destroy your opinion of yourself, especially if nothing helps. It was affecting the way that I interacted with the world. Like, I would stay home on the weekends so that I could go without wearing makeup and nobody would see me. I would keep my head down at work so nobody could really make eye contact with me and see how bad my skin was. I would make excuses about not going outside, things like that. I was in a really bad place about it. And so one day, after doing a lot of research and watching people's videos and things, I was like, you know what? It's time for Accutane. I gotta do it. I gotta give my skin a fighting chance because literally nothing else has worked. I got a referral to go see a dermatologist with my health insurance in Hawaii. I finally got my appointment, and I remember psyching myself up to go in because some doctors, or a lot of doctors, hesitate before prescribing it, especially if you've never seen them before, because they're not completely sure of your full medical history, and it's kind of the nuclear option, I guess, for a lot of people in terms of treating acne. But for me, I had quite literally tried everything, and so it was the only thing left for me. And I went in with that fire in me, like, I'm gonna get it, I have to fight for it. I walked in, and my derm, who is the sweetest lady, and she could see how miserable I was immediately. And right off the bat, she's like, have you considered Accutane? And I was so relieved that she brought it up first that I started crying in the dermatologist's office. She was luckily super understanding. That's what I think really makes a great dermatologist, is because skin is one of those things where it might look like it's just surface level, but it is affecting so much more than you think it is. And so the fact that she was immediately so kind and let me kind of have my moment and was very encouraging, saying like, I know how hard acne can be, I know how it can make you feel, you shouldn't have to go through this anymore. And so that was really what I needed at that point in time. And so she started me on the process of getting on Accutane, which, if you don't know, there are kind of a lot of hoops you have to jump through, especially as a woman, to get prescribed Accutane. First, you have to take a pregnancy test, and you also have to get blood work done before they even write you the prescription, a month before, so they can make sure, A, you're not pregnant, because Accutane can cause major birth defects, like almost certainly, and also to make sure there's nothing wonky going on in your blood work that Accutane would make worse. So I went that whole month. She also gave me an antibiotic to start taking just to calm down some of the inflammation and crazy breakouts that were affecting me before I even got on it, which I really appreciated. The antibiotic helped quite a bit, actually, and so by the time I was ready to start Accutane, my face had already gotten a little bit better. But I just remember going to pick up my first box of pills and being so excited and carrying it out with like this big smile on my face. So I'm like, finally! So I got home and I ate a big meal full of healthy fats, because that's one of the things that people suggest that you do with Accutane, because supposedly it helps the medication absorb better. And so I took my first pill, and I was so nervous, but I was also excited because I was like, I'm ready for it to work. Almost immediately after I started taking it, my skin started the oil started draining away. And that's one of the things that Accutane does. It makes your skin super, super dry, but that's also how you can tell it's working, I guess. But my skin was so dry, and that was a very strange experience for me because I've always been super oily, so I didn't mind it at first. As the months went by, it did get a lot worse. My lips got super chapped, and you never saw me without like a chapstick in my hand. It was necessary. A lot of people experience something called an initial breakout, which is kind of the initial purge of your skin when it first starts when you first start taking the medication. Luckily, that did not happen to me. I was so grateful because I was terrified. I was like, I don't see how it can get any worse, and I don't want it to. The first few months in, my derm was so pleasantly surprised at how my skin was reacting to it. So my active acne started shrinking, and I noticed when I did get new zits, they'd go away a lot faster. My skin was super, super red, and I'll post some progress photos that I took just to give you an idea of it, but there's a lot of redness. I would say probably the worst side effects I had on it were the dryness to the point where the corners of my lips would actually crack open. That, and I was super tired and achy a lot of the time. But to me, seeing the progress that my skin was having, it was so worth it. I ended up being on Accutane from May 2018 to October 2018. Taking my last pill on that last day was actually kind of emotional because I was looking at the progress my skin had made over the past 6 months and just kind of being blown away. So by the time I finished, I did not have a single active pimple on my face. So pretty incredible. I stayed clear for the first few months after Accutane. I didn't really need to use anything to keep my skin clear, but I did have a few hormonal breakouts here and there around obvious times. So my derm did prescribe me both Retin-A, which is basically the topical form of Accutane, and spironolactone, which is that medication that I talked about being on earlier. So having those two has really helped maintain my skin's progress. To this day, I have not had a breakout nearly as bad as the ones I used to, and it's been almost 2 years since I've been off Accutane now. I will say that it did change my skin type. I went from super oily to so dry, but again, that's worth it to me for the progress I experienced. I can go outside now without makeup on and feel okay. And that is something I never ever thought I'd be able to do. I still do breakout from time to time. However, my breakouts go away a lot faster, and they're mostly all hormonal now. Something else that I'm working on is fading my old acne marks, my hyperpigmentation, because as a very fair-skinned person, that is unfortunately something I have to deal with. Old acne marks take forever to fade for me. And that is it. That is the whole video. If you guys have stuck around this long, thank you. My acne story and this whole journey has really shaped who I am as a person. It's something that's pretty much always been at the forefront of my mind from the time I was 12 years old. So I am so grateful now for some great dermatologists who really helped change my skin. If you guys enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more skincare content, please let me know. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to my channel and also give this video a big thumbs up. It really does help me more than you know. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that I will see you in my next video. Bye!